Okay, then let's get started. Welcome everyone to the rewards workgroup meeting of March 23rd. I always say this, we have a lot to talk about, but today the list is really full. Let me say something about the agenda. I would like to take, if possible, I would like to get to the point where we talk about some new ideas for new work streams in this working group. I think it's wise to start thinking about moving from a development mindset where we have been building praise and source code, setting everything up, to a sort of a daily grind mindset. And that comes with perhaps some changes, not necessarily changes, but clarification on who does what, etc. But before we come to that, let's go over a round of status updates. What did we do? What do we plan to do the days ahead, and anything blocking our progress? Let's see who's here. Vi, would you like to get us started?
Yeah, sure. So the past week we migrated the we migrated the praise commands for the bot to a new syntax. But today we decided to switch back to the old syntax. So I'm just doing that right now. I was also working on making disk commands for that allows people to allows admins to message all quantifiers, message all drafted quantifiers, and message quantifiers that haven't completed their uh, quantification in that period. That's still going on. So in the discussion I had with Christopher today, the things we would be focusing on going forward, like today, like the rest of this week, would be setting up the follow, like forward command, like praise follow that allows you to praise on behalf of someone else. Um, and yeah, that plus switching to back to the old session would be the stuff that I'd be working on. I'll pass it to Nebs.
Okay, so I worked on export. We had some bugs, and that is fixed. I just saw today that Christopher left some comment on my PR, so I will fix that also. And I did a small refactor of export functions, so it's nicer now. And also today I worked on weekly dividers on quantify page, and now we have basic style for that, and later we can improve. So yeah,
cool.
next. Yeah, Matt, yeah, you can go.
Yeah, you want me to go?
Yeah.
What's up, guys? So this week I worked on. I kind of fixed the whole broken responsiveness. So the sidebar and the page content are now responsive on all, or mostly responsive on all viewports. At least nothing breaks. Allowing the user to scroll up and down while they're marking a praise as a duplicate. Adding labels and descriptions to every setting to make it a little clearer for the users. And right now I'm just setting up database migration setup so that we can use that in the future, and I'm going to use it for the labels and descriptions PR. And then the big one that I'm going to take on next is settings per praise period, so that the people administering the praise period can override the default settings for that period. And we don't have any issues where settings that are used in calculating praise scores affect previous periods after settings have been changed. So that's what I got.
Nice, thanks. What have I been doing development-wise? I have been setting up a new website for Praise. So now we have the which will be the production server for now on the right domain with the SSL certificates, etc. So now it's empty. But the plan is to when this the third quantification has finished, when we have closed that down, we will do we have the exports of the database. We will import that database into this server, and then we will retire the current server. And also, while doing that, this might be interesting to people from other communities. I wrote an installation walkthrough while doing that. So, and that is available on the dev branch here, installed on DigitalOcean. So it's quite a detailed explanation if you want to set up Praise to run a DigitalOcean droplet. Then you can follow this guide. No support provided currently, or minimum. I'll post the link here in the notes. So that's it for about Praise development. When it comes to source cred, let's see, Matteo, are you here? No, you're not. So today, sort of new information surfaced around source cred, something that I had a feeling that this would be the case, but it has been unclear up to now, that you cannot actually do retroactive grain distributions in Praise. So we have gathered cred over a long period of time in the source cred system, and now the dream would have been to do the Praise quantifications and the source cred grain distributions hand in hand. We're doing one month by month from last summer up until present time. That is unfortunately not possible in source cred. You when you do a grain distribution, it's the date it gets, it's today. You cannot backdate them or make it select a period of time. So that puts us in we have to rethink how we do source cred rewards distributions, basically. And I think the current proposal is that we perhaps don't look so much backwards, but instead look forwards and don't do any source cred rewards distributions for stuff that has been, and instead start doing source cred distributions from sort of now-ish and going forward. But that is something that will be discussed in also the reward board forum, and to do some advice process on that, because that is something that involves actually affecting how much people get paid. But that is why I wrote on hold for now, because the consequence of this is that we don't have to care about that we know for sure. We don't need to take source cred into consideration while doing these retroactive quantifications, because we won't have any source cred data. So from that perspective, we will put source cred a little bit on hold just now. Yeah, and so now I'd like to pass it to Nagan for the Praise dashboard. We have the first quantification is closed, so we have the actual real data. You can see how that looks.
Yeah, thanks, Christopher. Let me just share my screen there for a second. Okay. Can you see it?
Not yet.
Now. Okay, great. So yeah, first of all, this is in the comments with TC Rewards, so you can just online here. That's thanks, or you can just download it and run it locally. It's a bit more beautiful if you do it locally, but yeah, both things work. And yeah, so right now with the news for the source grid, I'm just running it with an empty source grid. And for this first version, also there's a lot of addresses missing, so it looks a bit.
Nagan.
Yeah.
Could you perhaps try shutting off your cam? We have see if the audio quality becomes better.
Can you see it better now? It's
you have a slight robotic voice, but we hear what you say.
Okay. Yeah. So this is the dashboard, and you just have to like run each cell, select the files, and then it just does all the analysis, and you can just take a look at every step. Right now, I'm running it with an empty source grid, like I said, because we are because of the issue you brought up, Christopher. And yeah, so here you can just set how many tokens you want to distribute for praise, for the quantifiers, and for the reward quantifiers you have in this round. You can set the name, and this will it will just show you the, for example, here it just shows you the table and kind of calculates how much which percentage of the total praise given this each single praise is, and then calculates the rewards. Then it does the same with source grid, which right now it doesn't, and then combines all the data sets to a final user list with the total tokens. Right now, like I mentioned, we are missing lots of Ethereum addresses. So this is something we have to get into. I'm not sure how, probably pinging people individually, like DMing them or something, because right now we're just missing most of the addresses, which is going to make it difficult to distribute tokens. So yeah, so then just also takes the data, sorts it by quantifier, and merges the stuff. Right now, it's kind of, that's also something we should bring up. Right now, it's giving each quantifier the same amount of tokens, even though they are, each quantifier has a different amount of praise to quant. So we can see, for example, in this example, right down here, it shows us how much each single quantifier quantified in this round, in which percentage. So we can see there are some differences, but for now we are giving the same, which we should talk about probably. And then yeah, it just so what did the first round show us? First of all, sorry, this is the distribution of which score the praises got. So we can see most of the praise was quantified between 0 for duplicates or dismissal up to maybe 30 and 21, and then we just have some outliers on this side. The praise has a pretty heavy distribution here. So we can see that the top 50% of the praise receivers have 95% of the rewards. So yeah, this kind of is what we were expecting. So yeah, we can see from the praise flow, of course, we have Mount Manu and Ivy having done most of the praise, but because of their role as official praise dishers for the community call. But the rest is pretty okay, and Livia praise a lot, but yeah, it seems pretty distributed there. Source grid is empty for now, of course. And yeah, and this is the final distribution. This is just a little bug we noticed a couple of minutes ago before the call, because I was thinking that the reward board addresses were fake addresses, but it seems they're the real ones and they aren't getting counted. But yeah, here you can just see how all the rewards get distributed, and then at the end you can just download the three files. One is the final distribution per user. The other one is just a list of address and token number for the DAO distribution, the dispersed app. And then we have this final praise data, which just does everything. It shows, I don't know if I can share it. Give me a second.
Can you go back to the categories one? Just
Yeah. You mean here?
yeah. So how are those how are those categories separated?
Yeah. So blue is the praise rewards. Green is the rewards for the tokens received for quantifying. Yellow is the reward board, which is right now it's bugged. It's just doing yeah, if you can read, it's missing the username, so it's kind of like adding it to in this table. It's just all on the same on the dispersed app. It's putting the right address, but yeah, it's a little bug. I'll have to look into it. And then with source grid right now, since we have it empty, but it would just show up above them. I can.
And again, is the right way to interpret this is that the leftmost column, I think that is Libby actually.
Yes.
So she's the winner this round in terms of because being a quantifier and receiving praise. Yeah.
Followed by Griff and by Mitch. So yeah, exactly. And she's receiving this for praise and this for being a quantifier.
Yeah, I really like that analysis.
Yeah, thank you. It's clear now.
Okay. Yeah, so this is basically it. Couple of stuff to think about. I've noticed that on the praise export, if something was dismissed, but just dismissed, like for example, say there was one praise which two people have dismissed as a duplicate and a third one didn't and praised it, like for example with 3 points, then right now what the praise system does is it takes the average and just counts 0, 0, and 3. So is this something we want to do? Do we want to have do we prefer to just cut it completely if something gets 2 out of 3 dismissals? Right now there is no way to visualize that. I would try to find a way to do that, but that's a question I wanted to bring up.
Yeah, let's touch on that right now then, because that this is important. So we get this right, and because you don't calculate any average scores yourself you just rely on the data you get in the export.
Yes, exactly. I calculate the tokens that get given for the scores. Yes, exactly.
Okay, but let me try to summarize the rules on how the praise gets scored, and let's see if someone opposes that or if I have misunderstood then let's change it. I think it's like this. A dismissed praise gets a value of 0. So dismissing something is saying that it's not worth anything. But so if if we have 3 quantifiers and 2 quantifiers says this praise isn't worth anything, it's a 0 value, and the third one gives it 30, then yeah, the average score would be 10 because it would be 30 plus 0 divided by 3. So that is the intended way of calculating the dismissed score. duplicate scores, they get a percentage of the quantification they are a duplicate of. So if the duplicate if you mark a praise as a duplicate of another, it doesn't get a percentage of the final praise score for that praise. Instead, it gets a percentage of the quantification you gave. So if I quantify a praise with the top score of 144, and the duplicate percentage is 10%, then if I would mark another praise as a duplicate of this first one, then that praise would get my quantification would get a value of 10% out of 144 in that case. Was that
But
understandable?
I may not understand it wrong, but wouldn't we then risk to double count stuff? So, if, for example, all three mark it as a duplicate, so we all agree that it's a duplicate, and they just take the score they gave it in the original one, you would have that second praise having double the praise, even though everyone chose it as duplicate. Or did I understand that wrong?
I'm sorry, I just heard every other word you said.
Oh.
But I had difficulties decoding that.
I think I can clarify it. So there's a parameter which specifies how much of the original score the duplicate receives, which will typically be set to something less than 1. So it'll be like, let's say the original score is 10, and then this parameter is set to 0.2, then the duplicate score would be 2. So it gives the duplicate, when someone marks something as a duplicate, it says that identifying that a duplicate praise is worth some fraction of the original. So it doesn't double count it, it just counts it as slightly more.
Okay, thanks. That clears that up.
Yeah, and I just want to point out that we don't take the full praise score into account, but only the quantification that I, as a quantifier, has given. When calculating the duplicate praise score. Yeah. And so those are dismissed, duplicate, and then the regular scores. And the regular scores are, if there are 3 quantifiers, you just add them together and divide them by 3 to find out the average score.
Yeah, exactly.
So a praise that has quantifications that has one dismissal, one duplicate, and one score would be 0 for the dismissal, a small number for the duplicate, percentage of the original, and the quantification score for the quantification score, and add them together and divide by 3. That is the simple formula.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Thanks.
And we had in the data you had in the red dashboard now had a bug just when it comes to the value of the duplicate praise. So we will update the data set.
Yeah.
That is what Nebs has been working on.
Okay, great. Awesome.
So, but what you should quantifiers get paid the same even though they quantify different amount. Let's see if we have time left at the end and maybe discuss that. And that is interesting to discuss. And we also need to figure out a way to track who gets paid and not. And so that people, when activating their accounts at a later stage, they can get paid for all the quantification periods they have not been paid for yet. And that is not a super simple problem. So I think we need someone needs to take that on as a task and really do something, a smart spreadsheet or something, even smarter. But let's move on. Rewards round 3. Mitch, would you like to say something about that? You're finishing that, I guess.
Yeah, it's actually pretty much all done. We're actually in way better shape than we were last week in terms of completeness. I would love to get some sort of like auto DM thing going on, or at least something, a button I could press that would notify all the quantifiers, because that's what's eating up most of my time.
So
And the short story is that is on the agenda and planned for to be online before next meeting.
Cool. So then just the rest of that, I'm going to close the quant end of today, and we'll have our insight session. I think it's scheduled for Friday. We'll do the exact same thing we did last week, so I'll open the next quant on Friday. And then we'll at the same time schedule the tweak session for later that week.
And as soon as you have closed this quant, we can disable access to this server, or I will move data to the new server.
We'll export the
it down.
sheet
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we'll use it during the session.
Yeah. So I guess that covers. Yeah, you mentioned also the plan for rewards round 4. Anything you have more to say about that, or it's?
I think it's pretty straightforward. We'll set it up for October 2021. Same parameters. I think it's like 250 quant praises per quantifier, and then like 4 people per praise. Seemed to work out.
There were some there needs to be some clarity about the pseudonyms, I think. It seems like, Livy, you assumed, you said that perhaps we had made a decision not to use them. I don't remember us making a decision, and that is something we should do in between the rounds. We should allow for the change of parameters. Check that if we have other opinions about the parameters, we should discuss that before.
Yeah, perhaps it wasn't a decision then. Maybe we were just experimenting last week with having the names. I remember we had that talk about how the information that having the names provided was probably higher than the reason why, like the higher benefit than the reason not to do it.
I think this is important enough, and I think it's clear enough that we have different enough opinions about this that it sort of warrants not necessarily a vote in the reward board, but really having some sort of discussion where we actually ask like how many would like to see the pseudonyms being used or not.
Yeah, I agree.
But that is a simple thing. We can do that async before we start the next round. And I don't think any of the other parameters are in question. That would be maybe the praise scale, but maybe we have gotten used to that. So what's next? Yeah, launching of the new praise bot, launching of the new praise system. We had planned to do that tomorrow at the community meeting, but then after discussing first setting up the server took a bit longer than I expected, of course, and it also would be really nice to have some like cool new feature to show the community on the community meeting, and that new feature that we would like to show is the praise forward, where you can praise on behalf of others. Of course, there is the quantification and the dashboard and everything else, but praising on behalf of others is so highly requested, and so it would we at least we propose that we wait another week and we finish the settings tied to periods, which is important for the quality of the data, praise forward, and finally the third thing that I'm dropping right now.
A button to send DMs to the quantifiers.
Direct messages. And those are good features to talk about. And that also gives us some time to have this new server running a few days before we announce to the community that we would like people to start activating their accounts, because the part of the launch would be instructing basically everyone on the TSC Discord server that go to the server and activate your accounts. That is the only way you can receive rewards, is to connect your Ethereum address. So is anyone opposing that or think that we really should do it tomorrow? Speak now.
Sorry, so just to clarify, my Discord died for about a minute or two. We want to turn off pseudonyms for this round? Is that what I hear?
No, we said it's quite clear that the opinions about this is differ a bit. So I think it would be let's do a discussion in the reward board, an async discussion, and maybe do a small poll or something. Let's see how do people feel about this.
Yeah, sure. Throw up a poll, and so this would be something we need to decide before we open the new round.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I also asked, is there any other of the other parameters that are in question or that needs to be discussed? I haven't heard anything.
Yeah, I mean, I tweaked the praise per quantifier because we were basically going to use up the whole pool every round. So I just upped it a bit so that there's a better rotation happening.
Yeah, no, I think that looked good. Me at least. And it seems like most everyone has finished their assignments, so that's good.
I'm getting there.
So, but then this discussion topic, new work streams. Yeah, we still have some development work to do, but we are approaching a situation where it will be more of a daily business running this working group. And source code is configured and praise is running and the quantifications. Yeah. So then we need to think about what do we use these meetings for, and what structure do we have. And I would like to sort of try to appoint some work streams responsible people that could take a little bit more responsibility for different work streams. How do you feel about that? Do you think it's a good idea in general?
Can you tell me what you mean by different work streams?
It's the one those I list there below. So onboarding education is one. You have taken, I would say, you have so far taken on what I would name the quantification work stream. That the first quantification prep and execution has turned into just a quantification work stream that it continuously happening every 2 weeks. It's some work is connected to that. And maybe you would like to continue doing that, or you would like to hand over your hat to someone else. But it's good to identify these work streams and connect them to a name so that we know that the things are happening. And I think the reward board should be a standing item on the agenda, and that someone from the reward board sort of reports if there is something to report. Like we changed a parameter, for instance, we decided together, the reward board, to change the pseudonym setting for transparency, so that we have a clear connection about what goes on in the reward board and the working group, and inform the community about what's going on. We have been talking about onboarding and education. So that is sort of still a white area on the map that needs to be explored further. What does that mean? Who needs to be onboarded and how, and what kind of education should we do, and when, and in what working group, etc. We have the stuff that happens after quantification, the post-quant analysis, that are also bunched together with communications. I don't know if that is a valid grouping, but analyzing, not the tweak session that we do with the quantifiers, but like Nugget did now, actually doing the analysis. And we have discussed that we should write a small report after each quantification is finished. Maybe that is quite standardized, so it's mostly cut and paste stuff, but still. And we need to promote the work that goes on in this working group, that we promote the quantifications, promote the payouts, etc. So to raise awareness about what we're doing.
I have the vague memory that maybe a couple of months ago, Chewy and I talked about doing stuff like that. Maybe. So yeah, I can ping Chewy and we can work on that.
Yeah, that is my dream situation for this discussion, is that I get to just add names next to these items, and
Okay,
then
you can add mine.
Also, Nugget, we talked a few months ago that after the results from the research group, there would be more insight into the analysis, and this moment arrived, so maybe we could talk about them.
Yeah, sure.
Cool.
And what is that? Is that like an ongoing thing that will happen, or is this a one-time thing?
Well, there are interesting ideas for metrics to add, and some of them are somehow fleshed out by the researchers, but I don't have the technical understanding of what would mean to implement them. So I could just bring the ideas and see if they're valuable.
Is there going to be a presentation or something to close that off, or did that already happen?
Yeah, there's a presentation. I'll share the link here. And there's also some ideas happening in parallel that are not necessarily there.
Great.
Have I missed some area? I'm a little bit uncertain about this post-quant analysis and communication. But maybe there's some sort of communication that this group does directed to the rest of the community that doesn't have to do with the post-quant analysis. Maybe the rewards group, working group, like communications, should be a thing in itself.
Maybe insights from those tweak sessions could be published in the forum every period.
Yeah.
I'd like to be involved there with Nugget and Chewy and see like where I can support there. I think, yeah, sounds like a fun activity.
It is. I think this that's a real fun thing, actually. Yeah, Libby, what you mentioned with the quantifications, that is also the tweak session is sort of part of the quantification work. So maybe that should be treated as a separate thing and not be done by this group, or maybe it could be communicated by this group as well.
Yeah, that makes sense to put in under one.
Tweak session. And here, of course, there's all the cat herding, etc. This onboarding and education thing, is that a thing? Does it need to happen?
Yeah, definitely needs to happen.
And who would like to make it happen?
I can be there if there is someone supporting me. Maybe V. I would love to have your help with it.
I think we also Eduardo was interested before, wasn't he? Or he maybe was more interested in seeing it happen in the Communitas working group.
I'd be interested in education. What does that exactly entail? Like how to praise and how to quantify praise? Or,
that is up to be discovered.
all right, I'm up for it.
Mitch, I'm putting your name next to quantification just now because you are doing it, and then yeah, let us know when and if you need to step down. And would someone like to be sort of the reward board representative?
That's you.
Is that me?
Is that something you want to keep doing? You seem like the natural, but I don't know.
Yeah. I'll take it. So yeah, the actual the result out of this is that next week I'll be asking in the status update section, you know, Libby and Nagan to etc. To talk a little bit about these new work streams, or maybe we'll book a one-on-one or a small separate session if needed to identify issues, etc. And is there, what else needs to happen? Is there something more that needs to happen in this work group when we move from development to daily business?
Maybe we could have this time slot for the reward board meetings when needed. Maybe we could have 1 week is the praise tweak session and 1 week is the reward board or something like that.
I think we will have lots of stuff to talk about if it's if we have the onboarding education, we have the post-quant analysis to talk about, we have some reward board stuff and quantification. There we will easily fill these meetings with just the ongoing stuff, I think. Don't you?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know why it it sounded like you thought like, oh, soon we're gonna be just flowing, and then what we're gonna do with this time. But I see no.
No, yeah, sorry, but I'm being unclear. Of course, not that is not what I meant. To just to find some new structure to support us during these meetings and the work going forward. But maybe this is a good start, and we'll see how it evolves. And if you, yeah, we have 10 minutes left, so either we close early or we discuss something else like the Bright ID integration, or we had also the thing that I said that we should come back to. Should quantifiers get paid the same amount even though they quantify different number of praise? Someone would like to voice an opinion about that.
I think there's a really easy solution. Like if you just calculate the total praise and then like their share of the praise, like you could just give them that portion of the rewards, and you just calculate it by praise they actually done. So I mean, right there we have a solution as well. Like if people don't finish the praise that they're assigned, they're getting less rewards.
Yeah, +1.
Yeah, I agree. I was just more of a political decision, but yeah, I think I agree also that since it's so easy to see how much praise everybody quantified, I think we can do it like that.
Yeah, I was about to say that the distribution is more even. Now we looked at the first quant where my old algorithm produced a quite uneven distribution, and the current distribution is better, but still, if 3 of the or 4 of the quantifiers get substantially less than others, and additionally, a few of them don't finish at all. I +1 for me as well.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, the current distribution set up like almost every time there'll be like 3 or whatever the number we have set of duplicate quantifiers per praise. There's going to be that amount of people that get assigned, like probably a very small amount, quite a bit under the target. So yeah, I agree. This makes sense.
Can someone say this to me in English? And I'm feeling my language center is starting to break down. You should get rewarded in accordance to your share of.
Something like rewards should be proportional to praise quantified. Something like that.
Nice. And you mentioned another thing while showing us the red dashboard. Yeah, that was the slightly more complex topic of how do we keep track of who gets paid what. What and when. And do you see the complexity in this, or should I just super briefly explain? Say again, it's the issue that we have in each quantification round when we close it down. Not all that have received praise have connected their Ethereum addresses. So when we do the payout, some number will not get any rewards because we don't have their addresses. And that can go on and on for quite a few periods. And then after 5 periods, maybe someone decides to activate their account. And then we need to remember that not only should you get paid for this latest quantification period, but you should also get paid for all those 4 previous periods.
I think maybe we should have some people assigned to like think about it and present architecture, because it's a big complex problem and we only have a couple minutes. We might want to have the people from Gnosis DAO talk a little more about what they're looking for, if you think that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. To close this one down, do we have any volunteers to tackle this issue? Griff told me involve Fabio and someone else and let them come up with a solution.
I mean, I could definitely contribute to it, but it couldn't be the main priority this week.
Oh.
Is this a developer task, or just help me understand here?
Yeah, I think it is a developer, but it might be multiple people thinking about the architecture from a high level.
Yeah.
You're saying Fabio and some others, then sounds like first.
Is that something that could be solved with a Dune analytic dashboard?
Not really. I think it would need to have a separate memory, a memory separate from the individual quantifications. But the data would need to be stored in a place where it cannot easily be tampered with without leaving a trace, but maybe storing it on GitHub would be good enough, where you can have some traceability, etc. But let's shelve this for now and ask Gnosis DAO if you would like to describe a little bit more about what you're looking for with the reward system.
Sorry. So we're still in the early stages of all this, and we're still brainstorming what type of reward system we want to implement. From the very cursory discussions we've had so far, we only had one really. We're leaning towards a more simplistic model that doesn't include the quantification mechanism as of yet. And I think if and when things pick up, we can increase complexity at that time. I think the general sentiment is that we want to roll out something simplistic at first, test that out, and then go from there. Livy, NT's the one that referred me to here, and Livy has expressed an interest to help. I think she's already kind of started on this before I submitted the proposal on the Gnosis DAO forums. And then John, who's a part of Gnosis, will be joining us. So I think we're going to coordinate a time for the five of us, to have a meeting on Zoom and kind of work out the fine kinks, flush out the details, and then just go from there.